2, 3.
Are you sick and tired of being prescription for your life? Get ready for your daily dose of Healthy Talk Radio, the show that's empowering your health. And now, here's America's health and lifestyle coach.
Live. Do you want to get well? This is the show where your health is your wealth. Thriving is more important than just surviving, and the only thing lost are those unwanted pounds. I'm your health and lifestyle coach, and this is Healthy Talk Radio. From heart disease, aches and pains, to even your basic cough and sneeze. This is Talk Radio that's empowering your health. Thanks for joining us. Phone lines are open, 888-283-7272. You know, diabetes is one of the top health challenges that we face today in America. We know that. And we used to have type 2 diabetes called adult onset. I'll talk about that now because our young people are being diagnosed so often. 1 out of 3 of our young people under the age of 11 right now are being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So it's really becoming almost an epidemic. And they did a study, actually a survey, and they're saying that most diabetes patients won't change their lifestyle. And I find that amazing. And I'll tell you, in the clinical setting, in a traditional primary care office, it's unbelievable to see. It really is. And we have diabetes educators. You know, the RDs, the registered dietitians, are kind of the new breed. Nutritionist, or the title nutritionist, has kind of just been loosely used over the years. And the American Dietetic Association, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way, now has registered dietitians and licensed nutritionists in almost 46 states. There's only several states that just don't do either one. And they've really come on board, and they have different board certifications in different specialties like oncology, nutrition, pediatric nutrition, sports nutrition. And it's really a great coming field. So if you go to someone based on nutrition, make sure that they're at least qualified in that area. Registered dietitian, licensed dietitian, at some level, board certified in nutrition, something that you can count on. So they're not just winging it off of some book they read on a weekend. Very important. However, most people, the diabetes educators now usually have these credentials. They're in the hospitals. They work with private clinics. And they've done a survey, and they found that even with all this education and people that are just ready to walk with you, take you by the hand, and help, people still don't want to change. And even though they know that their eating habits, their lifestyle habits have put them in the situation of having diabetes, which can lead to unbelievable issues within our health, like chronic renal disease, kidney failure, losing toes and limbs, neuropathy, which is a nerve pain that goes down the leg into the feet or into the hands, and all these different situations that can happen as a result of diabetes. And people die of it. You know, it's a progressive disease. But the amazing part about diabetes is it's reversible if we're willing to change our lifestyle. And that's the key. So you have to ask the question, do you want to get well? It really is the question. And they basically asked that question to a survey of people. They said 9 out of 10 of these people, it was like 3,000 people that they checked with, they knew that their obesity aggravated or caused diabetes. Yet 7 out of 10 said they were not willing to change. Really? I mean, think about that. So you know that the disease you're dealing with, the health challenge, as I like to call it, you know that your lifestyle put you in that spot, right? So most of these people knew that their lifestyle choices, eating the wrong kind of foods over a long period of time, inactivity, whatever it might be, put them in this type of situation where now they have a disease, which is one of the top 3 diseases that we're seeing in America today, yet they don't want to do anything about it. It's like cancer. You get the diagnosis of cancer and everybody freaks out. Why? Because you've got to deal with potential of dying, depending on the stage and the level. You've got to deal with the potential of chemotherapy, of radiation, treatment that may or may not work. But then you have something like diabetes, which all you have to do is control getting your butt off the couch and exercising, changing the way that you eat, modifying your lifestyle, and it might go, well, there's not just might, it probably will reverse itself. Some people argue that with me, but it's true because the bottom line is if your hemoglobin A1C, that's a big blood test, And the A1C marker, they're saying now at about 7.0, but it's really, there's an argument between 6.5 as the number, kind of the foundational number, or 7.0. And let's say to have diabetes, let's say you're in 9.0 on that A1C blood test, okay? And let's say you modify, you lose 30 pounds, you radically change your eating habits, you start exercising, and all of a sudden your A1C goes down to 5.8. You don't have diabetes anymore. I mean, on paper. So the reality is that it can change, literally. Blood sugar levels go down around 85, and you're rocking and rolling, and then your physician works with you potentially. Let's say you're taking metformin or glucophage or glyburide or Actos or some of the medicines out there that are standardly used for diabetes. And then all of a sudden you come down to a place where you decide that you want to get well. You make these changes, and you become the top 2% of America that says, okay, I'm willing to make a change. Because they did a survey, and obviously people don't want to change. They prefer, listen to this, they said they prefer a pill to exercise and diet. And 5% of them said that they don't even care either way. It's sad. The reason it's sad is because, think about this. Let's say you're 45 and you get diagnosed with diabetes. And you get into a place where you have kids. They need you to be healthy. They're looking at you to be a role model. But are you really making a difference? I mean, if you're one of these people that just say, I don't care, it just doesn't matter to me, I would rather have a pill, I'll just take my medicine and hope for the best. So eating donuts and junk food got you into this mess. So let me see. You're going to take a pill to manage the fact that you won't stop eating donuts and junk food, which made you into a position where you're having diabetes. That doesn't even make sense at all. That is the most selfish decision I've ever heard of in my life. And you know what's so sad about that to me? That really breaks my heart, because I have a passion for this. Obviously, that's why I'm on the radio all the time. It's because people can live a better life. And I've seen kids lose their parents over this. When you see an 11-year-old child cry because their parents are dying, you'll get a little passionate too. Maybe your child has. Maybe you have it. Maybe your child has come to you and said, Mom, I don't want you to be sick. And maybe you have a food addiction. And maybe you need to change. Because your life is not about you. It's not. It's very selfish to think it is. It's about all those around you. It's about what you're called to do in this life. And when you've been given a disease, especially one that doesn't have that much of a genetic link, it has some, but not that much that you can't overcome it. It's not like type 1 diabetes. You don't have to pay for it. It's like giving you a brand new car. All you have to do is take care of it. Vacuum it, clean it, wax it, park it in the shade. That's all you have to do. And the great thing about it is if your car is all tarnished and beat up, you can restore it. And it can look brand new again. But no one can make that decision for you. And when I read a study like this about all these people that don't care, that they just want a pill over taking responsibility, it really breaks my heart, because I see so many people that could have a better life. And I'm talking to you because you can have a better life. We can live the extraordinary life in the freedom that we deserve, but we have to be willing to take responsibility. 888-283-7272. We'll be right back.
To find out more, connect with On Call Radio online at InShapeNetwork.com.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, both at the website you can sign up for, and also our free email newsletter. Sign up each and every day. We protect your information, and it's great information to empower your health and your life. Let's go to Jim. Hi, Jim. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, sitting out here watching the stars come out.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes. What I called about was entirely something else, but on your last segment there, you were talking about diabetes. I know one individual on each end of the spectrum that you were talking about. One man found out in the hospital that he was dying of diabetes. He had a teenage son. He's my first cousin's husband.
Wow.
And overweight, drank too much, worked in a fast food restaurant that his family owned, and they told him he was dying. Today, Roger's an engineer. He builds roads. He quit the food business. He lost 50 pounds. He went walking, and he takes no medication.
See, there you go. Enough said right there.
He is a brand-new man.
Right.
And the other guy found out he had diabetes. He went home and sat down on his butt. Now he's disabled. And he drinks a gallon of sweet tea a day, and he weighs about 500 pounds, and he's waiting on his maker to meet him.
That's right. And there's the two guys. There's the two ends of the spectrum. It is sad.
It is sad because Cameron is just he's a brilliant man. He used to work for me. One of the smartest individuals I've ever been around. Good kid, but just quit living.
Have you ever gone to talk to him?
Oh, yeah. Begged him. Oh, yeah. Begged him. But don't do any good.
Have you ever told him to listen to the show?
No, but I will. I ran across your show last night, driving back from a date, in fact. And what I called about was a topic about colon cancer.
Will you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
For this guy, because I don't think we can make this happen, but I know you can. Our show goes up every day, the following day, on podcast on iTunes. If there's any way you can catch that, or Jay, I'll talk to my producer about it. Well, let's see if we can't get that last segment over to him somehow.
Okay.
Maybe on an iPod or whatever, MP3 player, and take it to him.
I don't have any of those.
I figured.
Very technically.
We'll figure something out. Whether it's an email or something, we'll figure something out.
Is it archived on your internet?
Yeah, we'll get it figured out. Jay Patrick, our producer, will get it figured out. Let's go to your question, and we'll take care of that for your friend. You had
a topic, colon cancer, and I had I'm a retired military, and I go every 10 years for a colonoscopy, and they found a tag up in me back in April, about 3 or 4 inches up inside the colon and the rectum area. And they tried to take it out, but it was wrong place, too much pain, couldn't do it. It's about the size of a nickel.
Okay.
And but they took 4 specimens of it, and they all come back benign. But they sent me to another doctor back in May, and she said that she could take it out, wouldn't be any trouble. She said, but I quote, "The pain is not going to be worth the gain." And I'm just wondering if I'm getting a good medicine here, or just waiting on some old retired to croak off so they'll make space for the next one moving up the ladder.
I see where you're going.
I'm in great health. Really, I am. I take a pill and a half a day, one for cholesterol that works like a dream, and one for my prostate, so I don't have to get up in the middle of the night 14 times. And but blood pressure's good. All the triglycerides, the sugar, everything is just perfect. And but this little tag, I'm just wondering if leaving it in there is detrimental to my health. And they said they would look at it at any time I wanted them to, and I wouldn't have to undergo a colonoscopy. Is that good medicine?
Yeah, I mean, it is good medicine because what they're telling you is what they call standard of care. So the chances of it turning cancerous, if they told you, and again, they're going to know the statistics because that's their specialty, all right? Mm-hmm. So if they're telling you it's no big deal, you can leave it there, and they feel confident that it's okay because they've already biopsied it and it's completely benign, then I would probably go with that. Just because you have a growth doesn't mean it has to come out. A lot of people jump on that and they want everything off. There are times where you want it removed quickly, and there are times when docs can tell you that it's not that big of a deal. If they're telling you it's not that big of a deal, I would stay on top of it. You might want to get it looked at again, not in 2 months, but maybe in a year as a follow-up, and make sure nothing's changed. But then again, it's really going to be, and this sounds a little bit cliche, but it's going to be up to you. If you want it out, get it out. It'll hurt, but it's going to heal. I mean, that tissue in there is extremely resilient. And if they remove that, it'll heal. But the biggest thing you want to focus on now is, remember, it's not just random that showed up. I mean, there's been lifestyle choices that you've made and eating habits and probably environmental toxins and all those sort of things that have kind of accumulated over a period of time for that to form, over a long period of time. So, I mean, the best thing for you to do is just to, now that you're listening to the show and you kind of got on board with some of the ideology, is to really start making better lifestyle choices. Start changing the way you eat, making better choices, getting that 40 grams of fiber a day, which is a big deal for anything digestive tract related or colon related, okay? So all those kind of things, drinking half your body weight in ounces of water, these are the kind of moves that you want to start making now where, maybe 5 years ago it was, I'll do it every now and then. Now it needs to be your daily task. These need to be the baby steps you're making every single day. Because when you have a growth, thank goodness it's not cancer. But just know that if the things are starting to change in maybe a negative way, or could be negative way, you want to start making some extreme positive changes in your life to kind of go from where you are to where you need to be to go to that next level in your health. Because no one can change that but you. And, I mean, can the growths go away? Yeah, they can. As much as they can show up, they can go away. So don't think it can't. Abnormal cells can be eaten up by the body. It happens every day. Matter of fact, the adage is that we get cancer every single day. It's just that our immune system will come in and attack those cancer cells and get rid of them. So your body has the capability. If they didn't say it needs to come out, I don't know that I would go in there and start hacking away at something that they're saying is okay. I don't think they would tell you to leave it there and make you a statistic. I don't think that's the route.
In my opinion, Theralac is the best probiotic on the market today. Probiotics in a healthy gut are essential to feeling great. For the best in probiotics, visit Theralac.com. That's Theralac.com.
To find out more, visit the show online, InShapeNetwork.com.
You hear about duct tape all the time. We use it for everything. One thing you can use duct tape for, interesting. I actually learned this from a family physician, but there's the glue itself that's on the silver duct tape. I'm talking about the old school duct tape. On the other side, they actually put over warts, and the glue itself can actually begin to kill the virus. Warts, typically the theory is that it's from the HPV virus or the human papilloma virus. It's one of the theories. But putting a little piece of duct tape over the affected area and pulling it off daily does two things. It can begin to kill the virus, and the shearing of pulling the tape off will begin to kill the head of the virus and the little seeds that are down in there. And if you do that long enough, it will end up removing the wart. And it takes some time, maybe 2 weeks, they said. But I actually saw this done in practice, and it worked. I was pretty shocked by the whole thing. You never know what you can do with duct tape. Also, believe it or not, what kind of spurred me to say that was they're actually using duct tape now to fight infectious disease. I'm being serious. And so they did a hospital study in Illinois. It was actually on the border of Iowa and Illinois. It was the Trinity Medical Center. And normally when you get into an infectious disease area, you have to put on gowns and you have to put on masks and gloves and everything else. It's almost like a quarantine type deal. And when you go into these places, that's the way hospitals are. Well, they were looking for ways to actually save money and save materials. So what they did was they used red duct tape to actually they had people come in from the CDC, and they actually marked off areas, the final point of how far the potential bacteria or virus could travel to infect the person. And they used the duct tape to create boxes on the floor where you could actually stand in the boxes and communicate with people that had the disease. Interesting. What are they going to do next with duct tape? It's incredible. All right, in Gainesville, Florida, we've got an email. Gracie says, I've been diagnosed with celiac disease. What do you recommend? Well, celiac disease is a challenge. But let me tell you this. It's the inability to handle gluten. Gluten is a protein found in most grains. Somebody that has celiac becomes not deathly ill, but close to it. I mean, miserable, extreme cramping. It begins to cause them to lose weight. They'll have irritable bowel type symptoms and throw them into just a digestive whirlwind. And so it's miserable. So, Gracie, I understand the nightmare that is. And really one of the best things you can do, obviously, is to avoid gluten, but know what kind of flours that you can have, because a lot of people will avoid flour altogether. But there's actually some flour-based foods that you can have, whether you want to do pasta or if you want to do crackers or breads or whatnot. But you want to go gluten-free for sure for at least 8 weeks, because it does take about that long to get it out of your system completely. And then if you want to add some grains back in, no big deal. But the 4 grains technically, then obviously you do want to spend the extra money and get the organic kind, because when you have celiac disease, you cannot play around with this. It is a big deal. All right. So rice flour, hemp flour, coconut flour, and buckwheat flour. Those are the 4 that someone that has celiac disease can handle those flours. So baking is not out of the question. You know, life is not over. And having pasta, life's not over. You can still live and enjoy food and whatnot. You just have to be very careful. And, you know, the big one, too, Gracie, it's in the sauces. Like when you go to restaurants and whatnot, you got to be really careful with the sauce that they use for whatever they're making. And always ask them if it contains wheat or any other kind of flour in it, because gluten can be hidden in those, and you have to be really, really careful. But to live a gluten-free lifestyle, which someone that has celiac must do, it's really not that hard, and it is becoming trendy. A lot of the restaurants, and especially the grocery stores, are catering to that. But the restaurants really out on the West Coast have jumped on board big time. You're seeing the East Coast now come on board. Places like New York, Bridgeport, Connecticut, a lot of these places, they've jumped on board. And then, of course, your coastal towns, Charleston, South Carolina, you're seeing a lot of gluten-free over there. You're seeing a lot over in North Carolina, Wilmington, Hilton Head, and those areas. And then, of course, down in Florida. So the lifestyle is there, and people are catering to it, and it's becoming kind of the cool thing to do, because most people are gluten sensitive. Now, there's a difference between celiac and being sensitive. Gluten sensitive is where you're affected by gluten, but it doesn't affect your daily lifestyle, meaning it doesn't cause the cramping, severe cramping, and it doesn't stop you dead in your tracks. If you have celiac, it will stop you like you have a massive disease, and you will shut down. And things just don't work like they need to. But if you're sensitive, you might get tired. You might feel lethargic. You might just have low energy levels. You may have chronic allergies. You may get joint pain. There's a lot of little symptoms that you're thinking, well, I've got arthritis or I just have allergies. But so many times, if you'll just cut gluten out of your diet, and gluten comes in all flour-based foods except for the 4, rice, hemp, coconut, buckwheat. If you eliminate that for 8 weeks and your joint pain goes away, the allergies go away, your energy level doubles, guess what? You have a gluten sensitivity. And 90% of the people and 95% of people do. It is amazing. So it's not a big deal. I mean, everybody deals with it for the most part in America, just because of our grain sources are pretty much horrible. So think about it. But yeah, Gracie, I hope that helps. Just really watch out for the sauces. That's the big one. And make sure you enjoy life. You just got to come up with a new way to do that. And always eat foods that reduce inflammation. That will help as an overall foundation for what you're doing. 888-283-7272. That's 888-283-7272. Don't forget Facebook and Twitter as well. Let's go to Patricia. Hi, Patricia.
Yes.
How can I help, darling?
Okay, thank you.
Patricia, how can I help? What's your question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought it was one of your staff. They're so nice to me when I call.
Oh, well, thanks. How can I help?
On to talk to you, so I'm so thankful.
Okay.
My question is, I had my gallbladder removed. It's been about 10 years ago. And they didn't tell me one thing about diet changes or anything. And it really, I started thinking the other day, I said, I might know something about this. But it's just so weird. I heard Dr. Oz talking about the bile and how the gallbladder is a very important organ, and I don't have it anymore, and I'm really sad. Part of my body's gone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what happened? Did you have a lot of sludge in it, or did you have the stone that was blocking it? Why did they take it out?
I had gained some weight, and I had severe pain, and I just kept having the pain. And then they examined me and said they thought it was not. Oh, I had 3 tiny stones, but couldn't they have passed or dissolved?
Yeah, usually the stones won't. They can pass, yes, but you don't really have to worry about them too much unless they're blocking, like the cystic duct or one of the ducts in the gallbladder. I mean, the common bile duct. Those are the kind of things you have to worry about. But I mean, if they're not blocking one of the ducts and you're okay, then you really don't have to worry about it. So the reality is, though, the gallbladder is important. It stores bile, and it uses the bile to help break down your fats. More than anything, it's a fat emulsifier, so our body can handle the fats that we eat. And, of course, that's important. So your omega-3 fats, the good, healthy fats, are always important. Now, a couple things, too, though. Don't be discouraged that it's gone, because the body's pretty amazing. You still produce bile. It was just kind of the storage tank. So your liver still produces the bile, and your body will still utilize it, but you don't have as many bile salts to help break down the excess fat. So people that get their gallbladder taken out, they still struggle with eating foods that have a lot of fat in it. Sometimes they can get gas or cramping or whatnot. Unfortunately, though, there's a real strong connection point with the gallbladder and our brain chemistry. And they've done some research within Chinese medicine, which has been out even longer than our system, but they found within the Chinese medical system, like acupuncture and whatnot, there's a strong meridian connection, which are these energy points that connects acetylcholine, which is one of the brain chemicals. As a matter of fact, it is the number one brain chemical that our brain uses from one neuron to the other. And without getting that too involved, understand that you've got to have that brain chemical for your body, for your brain to even function well. So when we go through stress, those brain chemicals go down. So if you're under a lot of emotional stress, or you're going through a lot of physical stress, or whatever it might be, the acetylcholine levels will go down. When the acetylcholine levels go down, it can directly affect gallbladder function, and that becomes the challenge. So with the gallbladder function going down, that's where you can start getting some of the stones and the sludge and whatnot. And it can be for over and over again for the acetylcholine levels going down. So, again, one of the ways you can work on a gallbladder from more of a natural perspective is to work on building up acetylcholine levels, which you can do with certain foods, and certain supplements can help. But, and it's amazing. So, biochemically, it makes the bile salts and it helps you break down your food. So Oz was right when he talked about how important the gallbladder is. You want to do everything you can to keep all your parts. I mean, that's what we need to do. And he's a surgeon. So at the end of the day, moving forward, whenever you're challenged to have surgery, you always want to ask why about 1,000 times and then do research and get about 10 opinions. And you didn't know any better, and that's okay. So the glycine and taurine, it can still work. And here's a really, really cool thing about the liver. They've done some research, and they found that when you remove the gallbladder, the body actually goes and forms a small little pouch underneath the liver, which is where the gallbladder used to be. So the body actually can go in. It's not a complete gallbladder, but it actually tries to make a small remnant of something that can help with the process of what the gallbladder used to do. So the body knows what it's doing. It can adapt. You're going to be fine. It's not life-threatening, but just know some of the tools to still give you a good quality of life.
Connect with On Call Radio and watch On Call TV at InShapeNetwork.com.
The use of drugs for it, narcotic drugs, are even more prevalent. And a lot of the pain clinics are forming now, and the adage is, I think right now, that in Florida there's more pain clinics than there are in the entire country combined. And it's really become a challenge. But they're saying now that chronic pain can affect, or is affecting, 116 million Americans. And it's become a real public health issue. And at the time, something to do about it. They're saying that there's a report done by the Department of Health and Human Services, and it was mandated by the Healthcare Overhaul Law, that estimates that chronic pain costs between $560 billion and $635 billion each year in medical expenses and lost productivity. But it adds pain, and also personal, and affecting each person's individuality. So the chronic pain, from cancer to back pain, is influenced by heredity, stress, depression, and other factors, and sometimes lingers after the underlying condition is treated because of the changes in the nervous system. So pain can be a disease in and of itself, yet the report points out few medical schools require or even offer courses on pain, and I'll tell you that. Exactly. I'm telling you right now that in medical school, we learned nothing about pain management. Zero. They don't even offer it. So if you don't get it in some of your rotations, which, I mean, it depends on through internal medicine or family medicine, if you deal with some chronic pain patients, which most of those do, depending on where you did your training, and you don't get any education on it. So you're just kind of off to the races. Hopefully you'll get some through an internship or residency. So as one member of the committee in this report, Dr. Sean Mackey, chief of Stanford University Division of Pain Management, said in a news release that chronic pain is a disease that affects more people. Listen to this. It affects more people than heart disease, diabetes, and cancer combined. That's huge. All right, those are your big three: heart disease, diabetes, and cancer combined. Chronic pain is a disease, so they're calling it a disease that affects more people than all the big guns that we see in America combined. Yet we spend only a small portion of the budget of the National Institutes of Health on understanding its cause or how to treat it. And our hope is that this report will serve as a wake-up call, they're saying, which I think this is good, to our country. And the new healthcare law requires that a National Academy of Sciences arm that make recommendations to the Department of Health and Human Services about the state of the science, they call it, in pain research, care, and education. And the report calls for more than everything: more research, more training in pain, which I think would be good for healthcare professionals, and expanded insurance coverage of pain care. Because, I mean, that is crazy. I completely agree. If there's no training in it, you know, with it being one of the top diseases in our country, as they're calling it, is pretty amazing. So the government agencies and healthcare providers, professional groups, educators, and everyone, really, public or private, they're saying pays for healthcare, really can help get the job done in this. And I agree with that. I think that it's a huge wake-up call for all of us if you're in the healthcare field at all. And I think that without a shadow of a doubt, if it's affecting 116 million people in this, it's pretty incredible. And we're spending $500+ billion a year in lost productivity and medical expenses. It's time to make a change. And unfortunately, it's basically legalized drug use. And the problem with it is it's had a bad rap for a long time, is because there's a lot of people, don't get me wrong when I say this, there are many people that need the pain medications. They do. Literally, they're in end-stage cancer. They're dealing with whatever they're dealing with, chronic back pain that's so painful you can't even move, and they really do need it. It's very hard to gauge when somebody is using, so to speak, when they're actually taking the medications simply because they want to. They enjoy the high. They like the way it makes them feel. They are going through things in their life, and maybe it helps numb the pain, emotional pain. And I've seen plenty of patients that do. I mean, I've seen plenty of people and patients that do that. And it's sad. It really is. And unfortunately, there's not enough regulation of it, and I think it needs to change. I think there needs to be a strong regulation of it. I've seen certain clinics and I've seen certain programs put in a 3-step protocol where they can actually screen you, and then if you get into what they call a high-risk category through some of the screening process and the interview process, then they won't give you the meds. And I've seen that, and I think it's good. It is a very good process because that way no one comes in on the first day and they can get the drugs. You have to go through a process. And only when you get through that process, and you know, they're great actors too. Let me tell you, people that want their drugs become very good at this. So I think that in the middle of this all, if education would change, if it would become mandatory, which I think for physicians and providers, mid-level providers, to go through some type of educational course where they could really brush up on pain management, understand it better. It's one thing to understand the drug and the biochemistry of it and know how and when to give it. But it's another thing to understand the entire process of pain management, when to use it, when not to, you know, how to read situations better, and to have good training and quality training. And some people say that comes with experience, but at the end of the day, there should be some standardized testing because you're going to have younger docs, nurses, and whomever that come out of the gate that don't know and may make poor judgments, not because they're not good at what they do, but because there could be some inexperience involved just based on the game that's being played. So in this area, with it trumping heart disease, diabetes, and cancer combined, it's an area that needs extreme focus, in my opinion, that we really need to jump on to go to the next level in our health. Puts another hour in the charts. I'd like to thank our producer, Jay Patrick, John Garrison, Leslie Pardue, and the rest of the team. I'm your health and lifestyle coach. Go tell one person something you learned on this show, and together we can change the health of our friends, our families, and our communities. You're listening to the best in healthy talk radio, where we're diagnosing hope one person at a time. Remember, whether you're absolutely thriving or challenged in a hospital bed, remember, there's always hope to get your health back.
This show is designed to provide accurate information of a general nature on the subject matter covered, and given with the understanding that neither the host nor the station is engaged with rendering any form of medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. This information is not approved by the FDA and is not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease.
To experience